Welcome to my budget deck channel, where I usually try to make decks as cheap and playable as possible. So if this is something you'd be interested in, then why not subscribe? Finally, I'm making another video again. I have not posted something in like more than a week now, and my life's just very busy at the moment. I even missed the ban list. I'm a bit upset about it because that was quite a doozy. It is what it is. I am doing a pack review now because that is a bit quicker and I can just talk about stuff without having to try and test lots of things. I will be picking the channel back up in like a month or so. Till then, it's going to be a bit low down, but it is what it is. There's still some of the old videos that I have are at least still relevant. Some are not because the ban list has done some stuff to elements. But this is meant to be a pack review, and let's start off with this one. We finally have the Magic Key cards, and we finally have the Adventure cards, which is probably a bit more exciting than the Magic Key ones in this pack. And should we buy this? Should any of you buy this? From a budget point of view, we shall see. Let's talk about the ultra rares and the super rares. We have Magic Key Fiend Transferlmine. I don't even know how to say it, but a very good card for Magic Keys. Probably need like one of it, potentially two, depends on what kind of playstyle you want to be going for. But yeah, you don't need to pick up too many of it. And for an ultra rare, it's pretty decent. Annoyingly, it's not like a card that you can generically use because you need one Magic Key tuner, and also everything else in this card text makes it so it only really works in like Magic Key special decks. We have Magic Key Dragon. This card is, well, it's an ultra rare, but I don't love it. The effects are fine and it's definitely like playable-ish, but I don't know, I feel like the whole fusion side of the deck is takes a bit more resources than you would want it to, and then for the fact of that you take a bit more resources, the effect of the cards aren't too great. Like, you can play it, but you could theoretically get away with not running one of them anyway, but one should be absolutely fine. Let's talk about the adventure cards. Of course, a lot of them ultra rares, especially the good ones. We have one Water Enchantress. The good thing is you only need one because you can only play one. This engine has already been hampered quite a bit. We have Wandering Griffin Rider. If you want to be playing pure adventures, then you probably want 2 or 3 of this card. You can, for the engine, obviously get away with just running one, but yeah, depends on what you want to be playing with this. That kind of makes up for what you need. So obviously, I kind of understand why it's called ultra rare, because they don't have any extra deck boss monsters, but I feel like one of them could have been a super rare, one of the disruptive cards, because I feel like the Searchers are already all ultra rare, so yeah, bit annoying. Well, not all of them, but they're all high rarity anyway. We have Illegal Knight, another card that is an ultra rare. I guess it's also somewhat of a boss monster. Kind of don't understand why Water Enchantress then isn't a super rare, but it is what it is. We have it like this. Usually, if you want to play a pure version, you want to be going for 1 or 2. And if you just go for the engine, I don't know, do you play this card even, or is it just Griffin Rider that you play? Or if it maybe just either one of them, whatever your deck needs potentially. But yeah, can be quite nice. Also, they are special summonable level 7, so this can potentially be very interesting because you can special summon them if you control no monsters, even as a quick effect in theory. So that is quite nice. We have well, if you control no tokens, then you can special summon a token. So this card, very, very nice. Rite of Aramasir. This card you do need 2 of because it searches your stuff, because you can add one Fateful Adventure from your deck to your spell trap zone, and also it creates a token. This is what you really want for the engine, or even for the pure adventure version. So this card sadly needs to be kind of maxed out on, and we are capped at 2 because of the ban list and because it says so. Magic Key Spirit Vipartu, a card that I don't really think you need that much. There's certain things you can do with it. One is definitely fine. Kind of annoying it's a super rare because I feel like the effect isn't really worthy of it. So yeah, it could have been a normal or rare. It is what it is. We have a Magic Key McMortar. This is a card that definitely does stuff for the deck. Not super easy to go into, but it's with the new support and everything, it's fine, it's okay, it's decent. You want to be playing this at 1 or 2, I think. So yeah, a card you want to be picking up, and the effect isn't too bad. It can be very helpful. You can negate some stuff, but the problem is you need like all of this attribute thing, and sometimes these attributes just don't play well together, and it didn't you can't get it out. Even if you get it out, then you can't use the effect because you do into like the wrong stuff, and that can be problematic. We have another super rare, and that's where the generic stuff comes in. Yakuza, Lord of the 8 Thunders, a card that I would say is okay-ish. The only issue with this one is that it's a super rare, because if this card wasn't a super rare, some people might be splashing this into certain ritual, level 8 ritual, level 8 fusion decks, to be able to like draw cards and recycle certain cards from the graveyard. And it would be really nice for budget decks if you can only run like one of the ultra rare fusions, whatever, and if it's a kind of a grindy deck, then you can get them back into a deck, you can draw a card by banishing things, and so on and so on and so on. So this card would be really nice, and potentially even would see play in certain budget variants if it wasn't a super rare. The fact that it's super rare, why would anyone really play this? You need way too much of a setup for this card to even be remotely useful. I feel like you can just run like better cards than it that just do a lot more. We have Advanced Ritual Art, a card that I wished wasn't a super rare, but I kind of understand. It's good that this is in this pack because it works really well in conjunction with the magic keys. So yeah, it's a good card to pick up in general if you want to be playing certain specific decks anyway, certain specific ritual decks. This card can be quite helpful. Hidden Armory, a card that I'm very upset this is a super rare. Like, this has absolutely no place in being a super. This card is mainly just for some janky decks with certain equipped cards and whatever, and this card would potentially see play in some very weird decks that try to do something very specific if it was a normal or rare card. The fact that it's super rare like discourages the only people that would want to potentially play a deck with this card in it so much, to the point that yeah, I don't know, I don't see anyone wanting to invest into this card into a super rare, and it really should not be one. We have High Ritual Art in here. This card is also very good for the magic keys, less good for certain other decks, but I guess you could potentially play it in one or two other decks. It does some stuff, but also has this whole normal monster kind of thing, and that makes it a bit less playable from time to time. But you can ritual summon a ritual monster from your deck, so it's not too bad. Potentially you could be playing this in something like Dark Magician if you really wanted to be going for the ritual monsters, but yeah, maybe, I don't think that's a good idea. But yeah, the magic key, it does do something. We have Supernatural Danger Zone, a card that I also wish wasn't super rare, because then I would have splashed it into some decks, because I really wanted to try this out. Because this one doesn't limit you for not summoning tokens. This would also work with tokens if a non-effect monster is special summoned face up, and it doesn't say not a token, so we could use that. You can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. So this can be super cool, and if this card's owner spell trap is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one non-effect monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So actually not like a terrible card, but you probably won't see it played in most decks anyway. We have Fateful Adventure, a card that's very good. You want to be maxing out on this one, searches your stuff and gets you equips and everything, so can be quite nice. We have Curse of Arametir, a card that's not part of the engine, so it's a bit less interesting if you just want to be playing the adventure engine. This card is mainly just good for like the normal adventure deck. Like if you want to be playing pure adventures, you will be running like 2 to 3 of this, I would say. Depends on how well you can get into your tokens and so on. Depends on if you want to be running stuff like Foolish Burial, or if you want to be keeping it a bit cheaper. And if you already got this, this will be helpful for the pure adventures, but it's not quite right Fateful Adventure. It's more yeah, it's different, but it doesn't do as much in theory. We have Armory Card, a card also should never have been a super rare. Might have been used for some cheesy combos otherwise. I really would not want to be crafting a deck where I need this card, because I don't want to be spending any super rare tickets on that one. Not yet, at least. Maybe there will be good equips at one point, and the rest is basically just magic key cards and adventure cards and some other shenanigans that could be in here because you need different types, and magic key can go into all different kind of types of extra deck and main deck monsters, so they are in here. Other than that, yeah, quite happy that a lot of the cards are like this one, for example. This one could have been more expensive, but it's not. This one could have been more expensive, but it's not. But we're glad that this is the case. So if you want to be playing like a, well, I don't want to say decent, but like a playable budget deck, magic keys are definitely way. If you're looking to go into this pack for the adventure engine, which is still fairly playable, it's not as good as it used to be anymore, so this is what we always have to deal with meta wise. But if you want to be going for this pack, and if you want the adventure engine, then you should really go for the pack, because you can't really craft it all. You'll lose so much crafting material on it. It's better opening this pack, and along the way you will end up with probably a playable version of magic keys, like a budget kind of build that you could be playing. The deck isn't like amazing, but it has some potential. You can be doing certain combos with it. It can be somewhat disruptive, but it still lacks like a tiny bit more of support to be like an actual good deck. At this point, it's just like roundabout playable. So where would I rate this pack? Well, with the adventure engine in here, it's still quite good, but it's still quite expensive, so I would probably say like a 5 or 6 out of 10. It has its usage, isn't too bad. I've seen like definitely bad packs, but also, yeah, the decks in here aren't that good by themselves, and just doing it for an engine that's already kind of outdated, not sure how much sense it makes to actually open this pack in the first place. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, I hope you have a nice day.